Have you ever watched an 80s sci-fi movie and wondered how anyone approved something that wild? The decade was a playground of neon dreams and fearless imagination. Directors pushed every limit they could find, creating films that feel impossible to repeat today. And buried in that electric chaos are stories so bold, you will wonder how they ever reached the screen. Number 12. Xtro, 1982. Xtro does not begin politely. It arrives with a flash of light, a vanished father, and a sense that something cosmic has slipped into a quiet English home. From the first frame, the movie builds a world where normal rules quietly fall apart. Every room feels too silent. Every hallway seems too long. And every conversation hangs with a strange pause that makes you brace for the next odd turn. This is not a smooth studio film. It is an independent fever dream that leans into its handmade effects with total confidence. When the missing father returns years later, the tone becomes even more surreal. Instead of explaining where he has been, the movie lets the mystery breathe. Shadows creep, objects move, and the family begins to feel like guests in their own home. One moment, you are watching a small domestic scene. The next moment, a toy soldier marches across the floor as if guided by a force nobody invited. What makes Xtro truly extreme is not loud chaos, but the quiet wrongness pulsing through every scene. The visuals feel dreamlike, the pacing feels unpredictable, and the ending leaves viewers with a sense that they witnessed something they were not supposed to understand. It is part sci-fi, part art piece, and part haunting puzzle. Xtro remains a cult favorite because no other film dares to feel this strange. Number 11. The Visitor, 1980. The Visitor is the kind of movie that makes you question what you are watching even while you are watching it. It blends cosmic energy, psychic children, mysterious strangers, and forces that feel older than time itself. Instead of choosing one direction, it chooses all of them. The film moves through scenes with dreamlike logic, as if someone mixed a science tale with a fantasy myth and let the images drift across the screen without warning. At the center of the story is a child with strange abilities. Her moods ripple across the world around her, causing small events that hint at something much larger. Every time she appears, the music shifts, the lighting changes, and the atmosphere tightens just a little. You can feel the movie whispering that something powerful is circling the edges of the frame. The visuals jump from quiet living rooms to desert landscapes to otherworldly spaces filled with bright lights and drifting figures. You never know whether you are seeing a vision, a memory, or a real moment. This unpredictability is exactly what gave the film its cult status. The Visitor is extreme, not because it aims for shock, but because it refuses to play by any familiar rules. It is unpredictable, ambitious, and strange in a way modern studios almost never allow. Watching it feels like stepping into a forgotten dream where every scene shifts the ground under your feet. It remains one of the boldest sci-fi curiosities of the decade. Number 10. Tetsuo the Iron Man, 1989. Few sci-fi films carry the raw force of Tetsuo the Iron Man. Shot in stark black and white, this Japanese cult landmark feels less like a traditional movie and more like a machine waking up. The energy is frantic from the moment it starts. Quick cuts, sharp sound, and stop-motion effects collide to create an experience that feels alive, restless, and completely unpredictable. The story follows a man who begins to notice something strange happening to his body. Small pieces of metal appear under his skin, shaping him into something he does not understand. Each scene becomes more intense as his transformation grows harder to control. Walls shake, rooms twist, and the world seems to close in around him as the changes speed up. The film moves with a rhythm that feels almost musical. Each metallic sound hits like a beat. Lights flash, shadows stretch, and the camera pushes in close enough for you to feel the pressure building inside the character. Instead of explaining why the transformation is happening, the movie focuses on what it feels like, turning every moment into a physical sprint. Tetsuo is extreme because it does not hesitate. It does not slow down. It does not soften its vision for comfort. It chooses style over safety, energy over clarity, and intensity over simplicity. The result is a powerful, unforgettable sci-fi burst that influenced later cyberpunk stories across film, animation, and games. Nothing else from the decade feels quite like it. Number 9. Scanners, 1981. Scanners opens with a simple question. What if a person could hear every stray thought in the room? Not in a gentle way, but in a sudden, overwhelming burst. This idea becomes the heart of the movie. It follows Cameron Vale, a quiet man who learns that he is part of a hidden group known as scanners, people born with unusual mental abilities they cannot always control. Director David Cronenberg builds the tension slowly, letting each scene simmer before it snaps into something more intense. The scanners feel like a group caught between two worlds. They do not belong with the public, but they do not trust each other either. Every look carries a hint of fear. Every conversation feels like a silent test of strength. The movie becomes more layered as Cameron learns about a powerful rival scanner. Their connection drives the story toward a series of confrontations that feel both personal and mysterious. What makes the film truly extreme is the way it visualizes the invisible. The tension builds like a storm, and when scanner energy finally erupts, it does so with firm, unforgettable force while staying within safe boundaries. Scanners is a perfect example of how the 1980s blended imagination with practical effects. It is bold, strange, and full of moments that linger long after the credits. Even today, it stands as one of the most fearless sci-fi thrillers ever made. Number 8. The Stuff, 1985. The Stuff proves that the 1980s could take almost any idea and turn it into a full sci-fi event. The story begins with a strange white substance bubbling out of the ground. People taste it and instantly love it. Soon, it is everywhere. Ads promote it as the dessert of the future. Stores cannot keep it on shelves. It becomes a national craze long before anyone asks what it actually is. At first, the tone is playful. Bright commercials fill the screen. Smiling families appear in posters. Everyone seems delighted with their new favorite treat. But beneath the cheerful surface is something quietly unsettling. People who eat it start to act different. Their movements feel wrong. Their voices change. Their attention drifts as if something else is speaking through them. The movie blends humor, sci-fi, and satire in a way that feels uniquely bold. It pokes fun at advertising culture, trend chasing, and the way society accepts new products without asking questions. At the same time, it unleashes practical effects that ooze, stretch, and ripple with unmistakable 80s energy. The Stuff is extreme because it never plays it safe. It takes a simple idea and pushes it as far as it can go, bouncing between comedy and unsettling mystery. It is weird, clever, and entertaining in a way that modern studios rarely risk anymore. Number 7. Contamination, 1980. Contamination is what happens when a filmmaker decides that glowing green pods should feel as dangerous as a ticking clock. From the opening moments, the film builds a steady sense of dread. A ship drifts silently into a harbor. No one answers the radio. A group walks inside and finds the corridors empty, the lights dim, and strange green pods stacked like forgotten cargo. They look harmless at first. Smooth, shiny, almost beautiful. But the movie makes it clear something is very wrong. As investigators start tracing the origin of the pods, the story moves across cities and labs, slowly revealing a trail that stretches far beyond Earth. The sense of mystery grows with each scene. Rooms pulse with quiet tension. Scientists examine samples they do not understand. Even the air feels thick, as if the pods are waiting for the perfect moment to disrupt whatever calm remains. The film uses practical effects that feel messy, unpredictable, and very alive. The glowing pods feel like characters, not objects. Every time one is disturbed, the tone shifts into full 80s sci-fi intensity. Instead of relying on huge sets, the movie creates danger through atmosphere. Sweating walls, dark hallways, echoing footsteps. You feel the tension even before anything happens. Contamination is extreme because it leans into its idea with complete commitment. It never pauses to soften its tone. It takes a simple concept and stretches it into a globe-spanning mystery that still feels bold today. It is the kind of film that lingers in your mind long after the last glowing pod fades from view. Number 6. The Quiet Earth, 1985. The Quiet Earth begins with one of the most haunting openings in 80s sci-fi. A man wakes up in his home. The lights work. The water runs. But every person in the city has vanished. Streets are empty. Cars sit abandoned at intersections. Radios play to no one. The world is silent except for the wind. Instead of rushing into action, the movie lets the silence breathe, turning the emptiness into a character of its own. The man at the center, Zach Hobson, slowly realizes he may be the last person alive. The film becomes a portrait of isolation, curiosity, and the strange freedom that comes when rules fall away. Zack explores stores, offices, and empty parks. He talks to mannequins for company. He tries to understand the event that erased the world around him. The tension builds not through noise, but through the weight of quiet moments. As the story unfolds, the movie offers clues about an experiment gone wrong. The Earth feels slightly off. Skies glow with unusual colors. Machines behave oddly. Zack begins to suspect the world is stuck between realities, and he may have been part of the cause. The film grows more mysterious when he discovers he might not be alone after all. The Quiet Earth is extreme in its restraint. It uses silence instead of spectacle, loneliness instead of loud action, and ideas instead of grand visual explosions. It stands as one of the boldest, most thoughtful sci-fi journeys of the decade. Number 5. Liquid Sky, 1982. Liquid Sky is a neon storm from the early 80s, a film that looks like it stepped out of an art gallery and wandered into downtown New York. Nothing about it feels traditional. The colors are wild, the music pulses like a heartbeat, and the story mixes sci-fi with the underground art scene in a way no studio today would dare attempt. It is a movie built on bold creativity rather than polished convention. The plot follows a fashion scene outsider living in a small rooftop apartment where something strange arrives from the sky. A tiny craft hovers above the building, almost invisible, observing the chaos of the human world below. Instead of giving the usual sci-fi explanations, the movie lets the alien presence remain mysterious. It watches, it studies, it reacts. Its curiosity becomes the silent engine driving the story forward. The style of the film is its power. Bright makeup, sharp lighting, and angular fashion make every frame feel like a staged photograph. Characters speak with urgency, frustration, or total calm, depending on how the city's energy hits them. The camera lingers on faces, shadows, and the glowing skyline, creating a world that feels alive and unpredictable. Liquid Sky is extreme because it ignores the rulebook completely. It mixes art, music, fashion, and science fiction without asking permission. It is loud, brave, and visually unforgettable. Long after the credits roll, you will still see flashes of neon and hear the pulse of the soundtrack in your memory. Number 4. Miracle Mile, 1988. Miracle Mile begins calmly. A man named Harry answers a ringing phone in a quiet diner. The voice on the other end is frantic, warning that something disastrous may be approaching the city. The caller begs him to run, then the line cuts off. From that moment on, the movie becomes a countdown, turning a simple night into a race against time. What makes Miracle Mile extreme is not flashy effects or giant scenes, it is the emotional weight. Harry believes the warning is real, and he sets out to find the woman he just met earlier that day. The city around him shifts between calm and panic as rumors spread. Some people dismiss the danger, others grab belongings and rush into the night, and the clock keeps ticking. The film moves with a sense of urgency that never feels forced. Every moment counts, every decision matters. Crowds gather at gas stations, streets clog with traffic, alarms echo across tall buildings. You can feel the pressure building with each passing minute as Harry struggles to reunite with the person he cares about. Miracle Mile is extreme because it commits to real-time tension. It captures the feeling of uncertainty, the fear of being too late, and the desperation of trying to save something important when everything else is falling apart. The ending hits like a quiet thunderclap, memorable and deeply moving. It is one of the most powerful sci-fi thrillers of its era. Number 3. Hardware, 1990. Note, produced with late 80s money and style, released at the dawn of the 90s. Hardware is a claustrophobic cyberpunk tale that feels like it was welded together from metal scraps, neon lights, and imagination. Director Richard Stanley builds a world that is dusty, industrial, and humming with machinery. The story begins when a scavenger brings home robot parts from a desert wasteland. He has no idea the pieces belong to something that may not be as inactive as they appear. The apartment where the rest of the story plays out becomes a character itself. Narrow hallways, red lights reflecting off metal walls, sculptures made of wires, and constant buzzing create a mood that is both artistic and tense. When the machine begins to reassemble itself, the film transforms into a slow burn thriller where every sound and shadow feels like a warning. The robot, known as MK-13, learns quickly. It absorbs tools. It upgrades itself. It moves with purpose through the confined space. The tension rises with every step it takes. There is nowhere to hide. No open ground to escape to. The walls feel closer. The lights flicker more often, and the sound of grinding metal grows louder. Hardware is extreme because it blends creativity with grit. It does not rely on huge sets or massive effects. Instead, it uses mood, lighting, and clever practical work to create a world that feels both frightening and artistic. It shows what happens when imagination is allowed to run wild, and that is exactly why it remains a cult classic. Number 2. The Hidden, 1987. The Hidden begins with the energy of a car chase already in progress. A driver tears through the city with wild confidence, smashing through streets as if guided by something unstoppable. When officers finally corner him, the truth emerges. The man is not acting alone. A strange force has slipped inside him, using his body like a temporary home. And that is only the beginning. The story follows Detective Tom Beck, a grounded and practical man who has no patience for unexplained chaos. His routine changes when he is assigned a new partner, Lloyd Gallagher, a quiet agent who seems to know far more than he shares. Together, they track a presence that jumps from person to person, taking control and leaving a trail of confusion behind. What makes The Hidden extreme is how quickly the tone shifts. One moment, you are watching a calm scene at a bank or store. The next moment, the possessed host charges forward with unstoppable determination. Every transfer raises the stakes. Every new host brings a different challenge. The Hidden mixes sci-fi, action, and mystery with total confidence. It moves fast, hits hard, and never slows down. Even today, it stands as one of the most energetic sci-fi thrillers of the decade. Number 1. Android, 1982. Android is a quiet film, but its ideas hit with surprising force. The story takes place on a lonely space station where a reclusive scientist works on a long-term project far from civilization. His assistant, Max, appears to be a young man eager to learn about the world, but beneath his calm manner is a truth he is only beginning to understand. Max is not human. He is a creation trying to find purpose. The tone is gentle at first. Max studies human behavior by watching old movies. He practices jokes. He asks questions that reveal both innocence and curiosity. But when unexpected visitors arrive at the station, everything changes. Their presence disrupts the quiet balance, forcing Max to confront emotions and ideas he was never prepared for. Android becomes a story about independence, longing, and the fear of being replaced. The film leans into atmosphere over spectacle. Dim corridors, blinking monitors, and the hum of machinery frame Max's growing desire for freedom. The final act arrives with surprising boldness, revealing the heart of the film. Android may not be loud or explosive, but its emotional weight and creative risks make it one of the most daring sci-fi visions of its era. The 80s proved that sci-fi could be fearless, unpredictable, and wildly creative. These films still stand apart because they took chances modern studios rarely attempt. Tell me which one surprised you the most. Like, share, and subscribe for more deep dives into forgotten cinematic treasures. The next bold discovery might already be waiting in your watch list.